All right, we are live once again, ladies and gentlemen. SDP on MMA. My name is Shadow Don. I am joined by my son Skylar Don, and man, we're happy to be here. We're excited about the upcoming fights. We're gonna jump right into this. Things did not go well for us last week, and I was sick literally for 5 days. This is the first day I felt well, or we would have done this Monday night. So, anyways, Skylar, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so right off the bat, let's just go ahead and recap. Shitty-ass UFC 215. I think that was probably the worst card I've ever had, worst card I've ever called, and a lot of things happened that I just didn't see. Starting off with the Adriano Martins and Cajun Johnson fight. Do you remember that fight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was heavily medicated. Right. I had been sick literally for like 2 days at that point. And I faded there at the end of the night. But, man, I was like dazed, coming in and out on some heavy antibiotics. And then I took some NyQuil on top of that. So, yeah, I do remember that fight. But go ahead, man.
All right after our recap of UFC 215, Nunes versus Shevchenko 2, we're going to go ahead and give our UFC Fight Night 116 predictions. So for all y'all that are looking for those predictions and that betting analysis, go ahead and look at our bio, and we'll give you the little time features so you can just click and speed it up. So anyways, here's our recap. I did terrible. I went Adriano Martins. He was winning the fight. Third round KO, yeah. So he was up 2 rounds in my opinion, clearly winning the third. And I shit you not, Dad here looks at me and goes, "Dude, if Adriano keeps coming in like that, he's gonna get clipped." And I was like, "No, he's doing great. He's pressuring the fight. He's taking care of the rookie, doing everything good." I shit you not, 5 seconds later, clip out, done.
You know, all I can remember distinctly about that moment that you're talking about was it just came over me all of a sudden that, wow, this guy Cajun Johnson really has the knockout power. I mean, he has the ability, and he was just looking for that one strike. And I thought to myself, you know what, if he somehow gets lucky and is able to sneak that in there, and I'm not kidding, it was almost like I threw it out there for him, he listened, and pop, it connected, and Martins dropped.
Yeah, I swear to God, you were the coach in his corner, and I looked at you like you were crazy. And so terrible loss on that one. We were clearly sailing into a win there, and that was taken from us. And much like other MMA fights have been taken from us as well, with just a well-timed KO. You can't take anything away from Cajun. He needed to land that punch, and he knew that, and the plan was executed perfectly. So moving on to the Arjun Bueller versus Luis Henrique Barbosa de Oliveira. Oh, God, another letdown for me. There was moments in both guys' fighting styles that I really liked and a lot that I didn't like. I really think Bueller got this fight because of the drop in round 2. It was a decision, 3-round decision. But you got to give it to him. I didn't really see anything I liked a whole lot in this fight. And do you have anything to add to that?
Honestly, I don't remember much about that fight.
Gotcha.
I don't know why, but yeah, I was one of those fights where I was fading in and out.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of action, but right off the bat, 0-2. We went with Martins and Henrique. We both did.
Yep.
And then another knockout out of nowhere from Alex White on Mitch Clark. Now, I did say in the last video, and I think we touched up on a bit, that Alex White physically and being the southpaw and being the longer fighter, and that had some advantages if he could use it and put it all together. Problem is Mitch Clark came out, and I just don't know what the game plan was. I don't know why you were standing with Alex White. I don't know why you weren't committed to going for the takedown. And Clark just ate punch after punch after punch after punch. He was just physically beat down with after the first round, and then going into the second, you could tell he really wasn't all there. So that's 0-3. Anything to add to that?
Only to say I remember coming to for that fight, and I remember thinking, wow, this Clark has really lost something. Something wasn't there. And he knew it too. I think he retired at the end of that fight.
He did.
Yeah,
he left his gloves in.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember actually really being emotional about that because dude was in tears. You know, he took a real ass beating, and then at the end just kind of had to, I guess, come to terms with where he was at. You know, at that point in his life. I don't know. It was an emotional moment, and I'm sorry to see him go. I enjoyed watching him fight.
I did too. I enjoyed watching his wrestling and his mechanics. Go ahead.
And yet another loss to our night.
Yeah, that's 0-3. But yeah, I'm with you. You know, no matter what happened to Mitch, I think he had an awesome career. He had moments where he shined, moments where he didn't. I think that it completes any MMA career, and to go out in front of your home crowd and in front of your country in Edmonton, that was pretty cool. So win or loss, hats off to that guy.
Absolutely.
0-3 for us.
And like you said, though, props to him because he looked really good and physically looked amazing.
Right. Moving on, Gavin Tucker versus Rick Glenn, the biggest upset for me of the night. I'm still trying to figure out how we got so one directional on this fight. I just didn't see this.
I can explain that because I remember it perfectly. Gavin Tucker didn't show up. You know, you go look at Gavin Tucker's last 3 fights. That wasn't Gavin Tucker from those fights in the ring the other night. I don't know who that guy was, but he did not bring it. There was no sense of urgency. The amazing feet work that I bragged on the show before that, none of that was there. Like I said, I don't know which Gavin Tucker showed up, and I was sorry. That was my biggest letdown of the night because I was thinking that was going to be the banger. And it went decision, you know. He lost by decision, you know. Went all 3 rounds. I was just really disheartened by that fight. Your thoughts?
The scary thing about this fight is he didn't take a round. He did not win 1 round. Every facet of the fight, by design, by physicality, by heart, by determination, Glenn took it in every single category, and I'm appalled by his performance. I cannot believe I was sold on him. I had him on every parlay. He screwed me for the night.
And he had the biggest odds, I think, in his favor.
Yeah, that's right. Rick Glenn was a huge underdog, so nobody saw this coming. I especially didn't see it coming, and I think around beginning of round 2, I said if he doesn't change something and dig down deep and try to finish this, Glenn's going to grind him out.
You also said at the end of that fight, Vegas is going to take a beating.
Vegas is going to take a beating tonight, yeah, and sure enough, they did. So that was a decision win by Rick Glenn. Great win by him. Shout out to that guy. Yep. I had no idea who he was before this.
We'll watch. We'll be watching.
Yeah, I'll be watching that guy. He has like a Bam Bam type of style, you know.
Nonetheless, 4 losses for the night.
4 losses in a row. I can't remember the last time that's ever happened. But moving on to Caitlin Vieira versus Sarah McMahon. You got your first win here, so I'll let you go ahead and talk about it if you want.
Oh, no. I went with Smith.
Sarah McMahon versus Vieira. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 1 fight ahead of you. I'm sorry. Smith versus Moraes.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. No. I lost again. I know. Because I lost the straight 5, and I was just like, are you kidding me? I mean, and like you said, when was the last time that happened? Seriously.
Yeah. Oh, my God. And Moraes with the armbar in round 1. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Who would call that? Who would think that would happen?
No, not me. And I thought literally... I thought Ashley had more upper body strength, and there was no way she was going to get caught up in something like that.
I didn't think she would even get taken to the ground, and clearly, you got outmatched. Or outclassed, one of the two, because to let that happen to you in round 1, I expected in round 3, but round 1 submission armbar, that's nuts. So didn't see that happen.
Yeah, didn't see that one coming again. That makes 5 losses.
That's 5 straight losses. So bear with us. I pick it up and get on track near the end. So just hang in. Next, we have Sarah McMahon versus Caitlin Vieira. And holy shit, I thought Vieira was losing that fight until, middle of the 2nd round when she got that submission arm triangle choke. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, right off the bat, I thought, okay, man, this is going to be a tough banger for her. Because it looks like McMahon's going to keep this on her feet, and I mean, for me, I wanted to see it go to the ground because I like everything that I saw Ketlin do on the ground. I think while we were watching that, right at the beginning of round 2, I said Ketlin needs to take this to the ground and wind up on top. And what happened?
I think I replied to you and said she has to use her size.
Yep.
And sure enough.
Yep.
Sure enough, you use your size and you can get that. Oh, and she, the crazy thing about that arm triangle is she completed it from half guard. So she wasn't even fully across the body. And I thought that was extremely impressive because that shows how you can utilize your size to take somebody out. And let's not forget, she didn't just tap out anybody. She tapped out a ranked fighter and a silver Olympic medalist freestyle wrestler.
Absolutely.
So, so keep Vieira on the radar. Did you get your first win right there?
I did. That was my first win of the night. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was crazy. And it worked just like you said it would. So you are now, what is that for you? 1-5 for you and 0-6 for me.
Right. Next fight?
Next fight, Gilbert Melendez and Jeremy Stevens. Those 209 boys got heart, don't they?
Dude, I remember this one distinctly as well. I guess I was excited about having my first win with Ketlin, and then going into this one. I mean, are you kidding me? Dude, I mean, you really had me worried about Melendez. You gave me all the reason in the world to think that this guy was probably going to come out and take this win. And the more I thought about it, that was the one that I told you I was most worried about. Jeremy Stevens brought everything besides a baseball bat, and I was shocked at what he was able to do to Melendez's legs. Once that, I think he said he broke one of the bones, the tibia or the fibula. All I can tell you is the heart on Melendez to go and finish it. He lost, of course, by decision, but my God, the heart of a warrior. If you haven't seen that fight, go see it. I mean, you gotta go see it.
You really do. How many times do you think he got up? I mean, I'm serious. He got up more times I've ever seen.
You got to go see it. There's just no way to sit and kind of talk about it other than to tell you that was to me. I don't know. Did that get performance of the night?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the bonuses yet.
You should have checked that. While one of us is talking, one of us needs to pull that up.
Go ahead and pull it up. I'll continue talking.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
I mean, it was kind of insane because, like, the one thing about 209 and all those Diaz guys and Gracie fighters in general, they leave that right leg real heavy when they're southpaw. And I don't think Melendez was southpaw, but he adopted the same style and applied it to his orthodox stance. And when you're real heavy on that front leg, anybody who can throw a deadly leg kick, I mean, God, you can chop that leg down. And within like 5 to 6 kicks, Jeremy had broken Melendez's leg in the first round. And, like, I'm serious, he would tap that leg and Melendez would fall. And then he would sit there and look at the ref and go, I'm okay. And several times the ref wanted to come in and be like, dude, your leg's broke. I got to call this. And Melendez would look at him and be like, no, I can get up. And every fucking time he got up and even returned some damage to Jeremy Stevens too at certain points in the rounds with a broken leg. I mean, talk about why we love the sport.
I'm not kidding. I mean, that's what showed the true heart of a gladiator. I mean, right. just a no kill, no die, heart. Anyways, got fight of the night.
It got fight of the night?
Fight of the night.
Yeah, no, you called that one. That fight, seriously, y'all, if you like MMA like we do, if you like the true gladiator spirit, which all 209 guys have, you got to go see this fight. I just couldn't believe that he fought through that. And then, did you see the picture on Instagram that they posted of his leg after the fight?
No.
Oh, man. His, one leg's like this big, and the other leg's like this big.
Remember, I was sick as a dog, so I stayed in bed the whole next day.
Yeah. Amazing fight. I took another loss there. That is not a loss I was ashamed to take just because, I couldn't believe Melendez had that much heart at 36 years old. That was insane.
Yeah, I'm with you. And it could have went either way. I just got lucky, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Moving on. Latifi versus Pedro. Just another letdown for me from Pedro. I think he had a couple spots in the fight where he looked good, where he was piecing it together, but Latifi's ability to just keep grinding and grinding, even when the dude looks tired, he just has a way of grinding opponents down, and that's what happened here. There's no other way to really put that.
Yeah, I only have bits and pieces of that fight. I would probably need to go watch it again, but I do remember being let down at the end by Pedro's performance. I think that I was worried about his gas tank, and I think he faded, didn't he?
Yeah.
He faded hard, and Latifi pulled it out of nowhere, like reached down in and slammed a Red Bull between round 2 and 3.
They were both gassed, though.
Yeah, but I mean, Latifi still had power behind the punches.
Right.
I remember thinking, damn, Pedro doesn't have the power anymore. He's just throwing the punches.
Right.
So, yeah, but once again, another loss for both of us there.
Yeah, I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 losses straight. And now I pick it back up and I get on a win streak right here. So let's move on. Henry Cejudo versus Wilson Hayes. Cejudo with the round 2 TKO. If you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back here for what I said last week. Cejudo he's levels ahead of where his striking was 2 years ago. I'm serious, and this fight proved everything. I knew going into this fight, I can't remember if I said it or not, but they were going to negate each other on the ground. Yeah. I knew that.
Yeah.
And I knew that it would be primarily a fight that's going to take charge on the feet, and it was going to be the bull that hits harder and faster. And from that point, from minute 1 of the first round, you saw Cejudo come out in a wide karate stance, which is something we're not used to. Usually he's very based on his feet, on the palms of his feet, and he kind of stands straight up and tries to look for those wrestling takedowns. And the dude just looked primed, and I saw it in his training videos. I saw it in his last fight. Yeah, man, phenomenal performance from that guy.
Cejudo took performance of the night on that fight, and I gotta say, he deserved every bit of it. I too was blown away. I think Cejudo has developed. He's on another level now. He's not the fighter that he was when he fought Joseph Benavidez. He has actually evolved. He's not the fighter that he was when he fought Champion Johnson, Demetrius, and it seems to me he's learning something from each one of those fights. He put it all together against Wilson Hayes. Everything looked polished, perfect. The striking, everything I said, I swallow my words because I thought Wilson had the edge up on him on speed, and Cejudo has turned it into another gear. He made Wilson look slow. Wilson couldn't connect.
Wilson didn't even have time to think.
No. Cejudo was just he was a force to be reckoned with. Knockout round 2, 25 seconds left in round 2. I mean, it was almost like he just looked up and said, "No, it's not going any farther. I'm done right here," and it was boom, over.
That's it. And I think with that win, obviously he knocked out a guy that hasn't been knocked out, and I can't remember how long. I think even Demetrius had to submit him, right?
Yeah.
So that says a lot, and I think that might project you into your second rematch fight versus DJ. He looked at him after the win too and pointed right at him and said something. I don't know what it was, but Joe asked him about it after the fight, and he was like, "So what's up? What'd you tell DJ over there?" And he said, "I just told him, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere." And I think that's going to be your next fight. I mean, if there's going to be somebody who's going to take him out, it's got to be the Olympic gold wrestler.
Sure.
And now that he's not just wrestling anymore, because you're not going to beat DJ wrestling, you're going to have to beat him standing. And I swear, man, you come out with that type of performance on a night against DJ, I wouldn't know who to go with.
No, I'm with you. I think Cejudo is at a new level, and I think he deserves another chance. The fighter that we saw there certainly can bring a new a new flavor to what we saw the last fight. So I'm with you. I'd like to see that fight. That was awesome. I was going to tell you something, and I watched the post-fight interview, and Cejudo, you were talking about what he said there at the fence. Let me tell you, man, Cejudo's class. Okay, a lot of people give him shit about being the Mr. Clean Cut, but let me tell you, that dude wanted to make sure that everyone knew. I was not disrespecting DJ by any means. I give that man full mad respect, and I certainly am not the kind of guy that would go and do that in front of his family. So he wanted to make sure, and he said it numerous times during the press conference. So he said they were smiling at each other. He said he felt that DJ didn't take it, wrong, but he didn't want the fans to look at it and take something negative from that. So, anyways, yeah, congratulations to you. That brought you to, I think that was your second win of the night.
No, that was my first one. 1-8.
Oh, you're kidding! I thought you.
No, I'm not kidding. I got 3. I got the next 2. That was my first win, and then I got the next 2 wins too.
Wow,
So moving on, we'll go to Rafael dos Anjos versus Neil Magny, and I think I called this one as it was too on the last video. If you want to check it out, I just said RDA is a beast in every facet of his game. He's prepared. He's got A- to A+ potential everywhere. People forget he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he clearly showed that against Neil Magny.
I had passed out cold. I had to come back and watch this fight the next morning, and I was still sick. I was still on medicine. I still need to go back and watch it again. What I remember, though, is just being completely disappointed with Neil Magny's performance. Dos Anjos looks better than he ever has. I think he fits right where he's supposed to be at this weight class now. I take back all the doubt that I had, thinking about him up against the larger framed guys. And, very impressive win for him. He, too, took performance of the night, shared that with Henry Cejudo. And, mad respect. I've always liked the guy, you know that. I just didn't know that he was going to pull it like he did.
And you always got to be worried. I totally understood the angle you were coming from, because you always got to worry about fighters that choose to fight in heavier weight classes and fighters that drop weight classes. You just never really know what the potential and what the limit is there. We like to use the word ceiling. And for him, I don't see a ceiling. I see him always getting better. The only time I saw him slow down was when he was gassing himself out 3 to 5 rounds in the division below that he's fighting at right now. But man, when he's not, you can tell, like, not having to cut 10 to 15 pounds of body weight is clearly helping him stay energized, stay active, and really, really strong. Like he pressured Magny heavy.
Yep.
And that's the type of RDA that I've come to know and love. Like, I really like how aggressive and how he reminds me of a shark. If I had to compare one fighter to a shark, he is it. He's always waiting, and he always has one way to take you down. And if you fall in or you can't angle out of what he's coming for, he's gonna get you. And so round 1 win for me with a submission arm triangle choke and just a completely dominating performance for RDA. So that moves us to the main event, and unfortunately it wasn't Johnson and Borg. Well, speaking of, what do you think about that? What do you think about the pullout?
I don't even care. At this point, I really don't care. They're going to get their, that fight's going to happen again from what I understand. And, we'll start back from scratch there. Nothing's going to change. So it doesn't even matter. I mean, really, there's no even point in.
Let me ask you this, though. Does Borg get the fight? And not just ask you, but the entire MMA community, if you're listening, I really want to know this. What is the next fight for Cejudo? With Borg pulling out, does that leave a bad taste in Dana's mouth? I know that other fighters that have done that, he doesn't end up bringing them into co-mains or main again, and you're going to have to be a main event worthy and have some type of draw to fight DJ. And I think after that victory, in my opinion, Cejudo gets the next shot. I could be wrong. What do you think?
I think that makes complete sense, but you know what? That would be a fight, Ray Borg against Cejudo, and then the winner of that gets DJ. That would be cool too. So, Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the final main event without that was Nunes-Shevchenko. And, I can only say this. After listening to the post-fight interview and listening to what Shevchenko had to say, listening to what Amanda had to say, the two of them respect the hell out of each other. Shevchenko clearly thinks she won. I think a lot of us think she won. I think a lot of us think she didn't do quite enough to take the belt, but she did a lot. And I think that if Amanda Nunes is honest in that she just wanted to prove she can go 5 rounds and didn't care really how she did it, to put all her naysayers to rest, that's what she claims. She claims this fight was for her. All the other fights were for the fans. This one was to prove something to herself because everyone said she couldn't do it. If all that's true, awesome. Amanda, way to go. I still think, according to the numbers, you got outstruck, you got outkicked, and the only thing that you really had in your favor was one takedown. So you got lucky. Shevchenko, man, I think it's gonna be a trilogy because you got to give that girl another chance. I understand she's probably gonna have to do some, jump through some hoops to get back to that spot, but why not, man? She put up a hell of a fight, and she's given Nunes the hardest run for her money. What are your thoughts?
I'm actually polar opposite. I think that from what I saw, Shevchenko, her game plan obviously was that Nunes was going to gas, and from the jump, she fought every single round. If you go watch it, every round, she's on the back foot. And what do we know about back foot fighters? When it goes to decision, your octagon control time is lost, meaning you have to really outstrike like John Jones. You really have to put some damage and some numbers up that would persuade me to think differently. But if you're going to allow someone to charge you over and over and over and not plant your feet and come forward, which I really think she should have done. Shevchenko's striking looked so good. My whole thing was, why weren't you coming forward using the striking? I know that Amanda hits hard, but from what it looked like, the speed advantage went to Shevchenko. The accuracy went to Shevchenko, which I think we talked about in the last video as well. But something else I said in the last video about Nunes is she just has the pop differential for me. She has the explosion, and one of her jabs, I think, does the damage that 3 of Shevchenko's does. And that might have been why the refs scored it the way they did. I mean, even one ref scored it 3 rounds Shevchenko, but I have to go back to the whole idea that, like, I know Muay Thai fighting is all about, let me counter you, let me pick you off, let me pick your legs down. And Shevchenko fought that way on the back foot the whole time, but you have to transition that and bring aggression to the octagon, not just precision. And I think Amanda's aggression is what probably scored her the points to take it. But man, I don't know. I think for me, the one thing I was doubting about Amanda going into this was, can she go 5 rounds? Is it even possible? And I think all hating and all BS and all it was a boring fight put aside, she looked like she was ready to go 2 more rounds when the fight was done. So I think that says a lot about her. Maybe she's maturing and figuring out that, it's not about what the fans want. You get paid for winning. You get paid for being the champion. And as long as you have that belt, you're going to go in as one of the greats as long as you can continually develop a game plan that's going to work for you. I think Nunes had the better game plan. And I also think Shevchenko stuck to a game plan that worked against her rather than working for her, if that makes sense.
All right. Well, we both watched the same fight, but it just goes to show you, fans all around the world, including judges, see a fight differently, and that clearly shows you that, even 2 people sitting in the same room, talking about the same fight, looking at the same TV from the same angles, we still clearly viewed the fight differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's no wonder judges get it right and get it wrong.
Yeah, and please feel free to comment as far as what you think. What were the counterpoints to what we're saying? What were the moments in the fight that make you thought Shevchenko should have won? But going back to the trilogy fight, I just don't know that's the fight you should book. I think Amanda gains the weight and goes and fights Cyborg at this point. She's shut every woman out. She's beaten Shevchenko twice. This isn't a Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor trilogy fight. It doesn't have the same hype, and not to mention it's a gentleman's match in this sport sometimes. And when you win the first 2 out of the 3, you kind of got to move on. And that's what either Shevchenko should drop, or she should do everything in her power to try and get Amanda to fight again. But why? Why would Amanda sign another fight against somebody she's beat twice now? So I don't know. I don't think that the trilogy will happen. But, Shevchenko fought great, Amanda fought great, and you can't take that away from either one of them. I think they came out and really did a good job. And that's with all fighting IQ included, not just like going out there and brawling. That's not what the game plan was. And for the first time, I've saw Nunes actually come out and stick to the game plan.
Well, I guess that's just it. I was looking to see the Amanda of, prior fights, and I was waiting for the brawl. And that's what I wanted to see. That's what I like in Amanda. So for herself, for the fans, I don't really care. I didn't like the fighter that I saw the other night. I thought that she skimmed by with the win. And again, it's just one guy's opinion. But either way, yeah, I'm with you. Let's hear what your opinions are. Leave us comments. I want to hear what the MMA community has to say. Anybody that's listening and following, leave us a comment. Just let us know what you're thinking. We want to hear from you.
All right, so that completes it. I went 3-8. Terrible week for me. I'm going to pick it up with this week. I feel good. What did that leave you?
3-8.
3-8 too?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, so we're going to try and get back on track this week and use our losses as motivation and as reason to believe we can do better this week. And so starting off, we got UFC Fight Night 116, Rockhold versus Branch. September 16th, and it looks like it's in Pittsburgh at the PPG Paints Arena. And starting off the night, we've got Gilbert Burns versus Jason Saggo.
Yeah, let me jump in because, I've watched a lot of fights with Jason Saggo. He is a Gracie black belt in jiu-jitsu. The dude, there's a lot to be said about this guy because there's a lot of fights that you can go watch. So you can really absorb a lot about kind of what you can expect from this kid. He changes his stance real smooth. He's got great kicks. So really hard striker. He doesn't defend the takedown very well, but the dude's a warrior. He's got a really good chin. I watched his fight versus his recent fight with Rustam Kabalov at UFC 205, and ultimately, he was just outclassed. He
had his moments.
He did, but he was overpowered by Kabalov, and he lost the fight. He went all 3 rounds, lost by decision. But I mean, in my opinion, he lost all 3 rounds.
Right.
So, anyways, that's what I know. Saggo, he fights every fight like that. It's like he's out there, he gives it hell. But ultimately, if you got a guy that is in there, has got a really good ground game, knows how to control him on the ground, he is absolutely susceptible to that. But again, he can take a hell of a punch. Gilbert Burns, man, dude fought Michael Brazeris, lost that by decision. That guy has got a ton of fights under his belt. He's a veteran, been around a long time. One versus Alex Oliveira, just think of some of the fights that stood out to me. One versus Oliveira by submitting him in the 3rd round by an armbar. I mean, we're talking Alex Oliveira got submitted by an armbar. There's a lot to be said there. But the dude's got a list of fights. Go check him out. I'm going with Gilbert Burns in this lightweight division. The dude's thick. And I think that he's going to do exactly what I saw Kabalov do. I think he's just going to overpower him. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll go opposite order. I think that Burns, 11-2. He's 5'10", 31 years old. He's orthodox. He's training out of Black Zillions, which is awesome. He also trains a little bit at Belfort team. He's a jiu-jitsu champion. I love his heart. I love his takedowns. He really likes to pressure against the cage a lot. I like his dirty boxing from the clinch, little short hooks and little short uppercuts. That was nice. I like how he feints the takedown. I think that's an aspect a lot of fighters don't use, especially if you're as good on the ground as he is. I like feigning that takedown. You can never really set up for when it's going to happen. So that was really nice. He only has 2 decision losses to Michel Prazeres and Rashid Magomedov. I personally, from my film study, I think he needs improvement in his striking. If this fight stays standing, I don't think that he's going to last 3 rounds. I really don't. But what I really like about him on the ground is, I love that body triangle. He wraps that up and sucks the air from you. If he gets your back, you're done. He's got crazy arm bars, to your point. And the other thing I saw in his film study is he seems to take shots while he's backing up. And I think that's because of all that training in jiu-jitsu. He's just so coordinated in one facet of the game where you can clearly see there's chapters that need to be evolved in his stand-up. And then that brings us to Saggo, which is 12-3. He's 5'11", 31 years old. So one guy's 5'10", one guy's 5'11", one guy is 11-2, and the other one's 12-3, and they're both the same age. So this is gonna be a good fight. He's coming out of Wolf Run MMA in Ontario, Canada. He's a well-rounded Gracie black belt, which you said. I like how he has quick leg kicks. I think that can really help him in this fight. If you can shut down that lead leg of Burns, he's so top heavy that it makes me wonder what would happen. Do you click down a gear or do you scramble, considering there's just things standing I'm not seeing? Saggo seems like a smart fighter to me. Is he dominant? Is he a killer? I wouldn't say that at all, but I do think he has quite a bit of fight IQ. He makes angles with his feet, being longer and lankier and not so juiced up. He has to make those angles, and he does well with that. He responds well to pressure, and he remains calm and focused. I really like that. You can see him actually adapt his game plan a lot when he ends up in situations that he's not supposed to be in. For instance, back against the ground, he'll pull rubber guard and stay in mission control until the ref will stand you up, and he'll throw elbows for mission control. So I loved that aspect too. He's very creative on ground, whereas I feel like Burns is take you down, smother you, submit you, find an armbar, or find your back.
Which is ironically exactly how I was describing that fight went down.
Kabalov?
Yes, with Rustam.
Yeah. But the thing that he has in his background is Saggo's never been submitted or KO'd. So he has 3 decision losses against Paul Felder, the Irish Dragon, and Rustab Kabalov, and he's got 8 submission wins. So this fight to me is real interesting from a technical standpoint. But I will say this: I think that much like the Wilson Hayes and Cejudo fight, I think that they negate each other out on the ground. I think that this is going to be a standing fight. That's one I'm going to bet on. So I'm going to go Saggo just because I see more out of his stand-up game. Not necessarily that he's better on the ground. I think it goes to the ground. Burns has a better chance. But if you have a Gracie black belt, that's, in my opinion, that's the best black belt in jiu-jitsu you can earn. I don't know if you feel the same way. So why would you want to go to the ground with somebody that is taller than you and can pull rubber guard on you? I wouldn't want to be in that. So that's where I'm going.
If he's smart, he watched the Kabalov fight, and he'll do exactly that. He'll get on top and he'll smother the hell out of Saggo. Because
right.
When it came down to it, strength and just taking dominance in the positions and in the striking from top position, Saggo didn't have an answer over and over and over.
Yeah.
And granted, he scrambled to his feet a couple times, but I expect a black belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to scramble.
Yeah, right. So I think this fight is interesting for a lot of different reasons, but I'm just going from a completely, I think that this is going to negate each other, and I think they're going to have to bang it out. And I just didn't like Burns, what I saw standing up. And who knows, he could come out looking great. I have no idea, but just from what I saw, I'm going to go Saggo.
Okay, well, I got Burns by decision. What about you?
Saggo by decision.
By decision. All right, cool. Well, next fight, Luke Sanders, Felipe Arantes.
Yeah, so we got Sanders. I love cool hands, and I cannot believe that loss he had against Uriah Alcantara. That was amazing. The fact that Alcantara turned that fight around and submitted him. But anyway, he's 11-1, 31 years old, trains at the MMA lab in Nashville. Oh, and Nashville MMA. He's trained a little bit at Rufus Sport, but that's not listed, so you won't find that. I thought that was interesting because we like Rufus Sport and the guys that come out of there. He's got a super mean left hook, meaning his left hook is his main hand because he's a southpaw. In this fight, he has a hand speed advantage. I think he has a technical advantage. I think he's faster. I think he's more aggressive. And if you can have 6 KO wins and still be 5'7", then you're doing something a little differently than what most guys are bringing at that weight class. But Arantes, seasoned veteran, 18-8, 5'8", a little bit taller and a little bit younger, being 29. Now, he trains at a really good camp with Shoot Box Diego Lima. I don't know if you saw that. Diego Lima is your Bellator champion right now, and that dude throws the nastiest leg kicks I've ever seen, like straight snap your leg in half leg kicks. So something to watch out for there. But interestingly enough, unlike Diego Lima, Arantes is a back foot fighter, which is not what you want to be against Sanders. You don't want to be patient against Sanders because he will clip you, and he's going to put his hands on you. Arantes has decent takedowns and trips. He's patient. He waits for the perfect time for the takedown. I think that's what's going to get him screwed here. I just have this feeling that he's going to wait and try to be patient to take this to where he knows Sanders can't hang with him. And you don't have time to be patient against Sanders. He's not going to give you time to breathe. He's throwing from every direction. So, yeah, I'm going to go Sanders here.
All right.
I'm going to go Sanders by KO.
By KO. Let's see. Let me check mine. Of course, you have to throw that on me.
Actually, no. I'm going to go Sanders by decision.
Okay. I have to go look what I got. I just know who I picked. You said a lot of detail about Sanders. One thing I thought cool is he's a Texas native. He was born in Brenham, Texas. He grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. Like you said, still trains there. He had an amateur boxing record of 9-0. That was pretty cool. That was before he got into MMA. He has had 2 fights in the UFC. Last fight you mentioned with Alcantara. Dude, I watched that fight. He was beating Yuri's ass for 2 solid rounds. Went to the ground. Yeah. Went to the ground. His ass. Went to the ground late in second, and Alcantara slipped a knee bar and submitted him. Dude, before that moment, man, Sanders was undefeated. So, first fight. Yeah, his first fight in the UFC was against Maximo Blanco. I went and watched that one. He got a win. The way I looked at it is his weakness is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And that was the case with Alcantara, and that's how he got him. That's what worries me about this fight, because Arantes is a really skilled Jiu-Jitsu artist.
Out of Sao Paulo, too.
Yep. What I don't like about the boy is he's had a lot of injuries. He had a lot of injuries early on in his career. I got to say, just for the record, I cannot stand a fighter that comes into the ring with a cowboy hat. And that's just one of the things that I can't stand about the kid. I don't like the song that he comes out to, the music that he chooses. It just drives me nuts. So nothing I like. I hope he gets his ass beat. That's just on a personal note. But, on a positive, though, this guy's he beat John Lineker early in his career in 2012. That's pretty impressive. He's an underrated wrestler. He's really good Muay Thai striker. He's improved his strikes by the angles that he chooses. I've seen that he's improved a lot in the way he throws his punches and the way he kicks. I think he's improved his overall fight IQ. His last fight with Eric Perez, he lost to that by split decision. He finished big and strong with Gerard Sanders with a deep armbar in the second round after Sanders beat his ass all the way to that point. So, he took that one with no problem. But the Eric Perez one, that was just a banger for 3 straight rounds. So, it's for me, I'm just kind of left going, Sanders looks like he has more tenacity and he's more aggressive. And I think if he brings that type of aggression to the table, like he did with Alcantara, he can overwhelm Arantes and he'll steal this. I'm taking Sanders by decision.
Yeah, Sanders by decision.
All right, cool. Well, that one was easy enough then. What do we got? The next one. Krzysztof Jotko, Uriah Hall. You want to go first?
No, I actually want to hear what you got to say. This fight's interesting for a ton of reasons, so I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, Jotko, let's see. We've been watching a lot of fights out of this boy in the last couple of years. Fights out of Poland. We were at his last fight, actually, live, you and I, when he fought David Branch. He lost by decision. I can personally remember the crowd booing that fight in the 3rd round because they were so inactive. I think we were booing too. Against Thales ladies, he displayed great control, continued pressure from the ground, had great takedowns, solid kicks. His cardio seemed to be much better in this fight as opposed to his last. And the fans still booed him in the 3rd round. As soon as they went to the ground, it just became just kind of like a mute fight. And I don't know why the ref let it stay on the ground as long as it did, especially when the fans were booing it. Jotko ground his way out to the decision in that fight, and that was a tough one for him. Uriah Hall, 2nd-degree black belt in Tiger Schulman MMA, runner-up on Tough 17 in 2013. His loss, let's see, it was a loss by decision to Kelvin Gastelum. Dude's a hard trainer. He's got amazing kicks. When the amazing Uriah shows up, this dude is devastating. I mean, and that's when he's at his best. Last 3 fights were losses. Took a loss to Gerard Mousasi, Derek Brunson, Robert Whitaker, all top-class fighters. Excuse me. In November 2016, he took a TKO loss in first round of Mousasi, and that was their 2nd match. Like I said, it's going to depend. This fight for me is a real tight matchup, and it all completely depends on which Uriah Hall comes to fight. If the world class polished Uriah Hall comes, he's going to win this fight. I'm taking Jotko. What do you got?
Oh, God, let me just talk this out. Some things I wrote down with Hall after studying film and really going about him, because he's a different fighter in the sense that he's one of those guys that are so athletic that he really doesn't even need to know how to fight. He just needs to know how to connect with a kick or a straight right. But he's 12-8. He's 12-8, 6 foot, 33 years old. Trains at Extreme Couture. I think that he could be training somewhere better than that with just all the tools he has in his toolbox. A+ karate, like you said, Tiger Schulman kid. Those kids kick so goddamn hard. He's an orthodox fighter. He's super fast, super creative, athletic, as we already said. Throws spinny shit from every direction you can think of. And my personal favorite punch from him is his straight right. It's when he wants to time that on an on night, that shot will drop anybody in the division. He has 8 KO wins and 3 KO losses and 5 decision losses, which is kind of unfortunate, considering he makes a living out of KOing people himself. So that kind of worries me. But He was KO'd in the first round in his past 2 fights with Mousasi and Derek Brunson. But interestingly enough, before that, I think in like 2015, he went 3 rounds with Robert Whitaker. So I thought that was interesting. So he's fought top-notch talent and is very used to it. And then you got Jotko, which is 19-2 is his record. He's 6'1", he's 28 years old, fighting out of American Top Team, my boys. He's a southpaw. He throws super hard Muay Thai kicks. He's got 12 decision wins. So there's the catch right there. Did you hear that? He's 19-2, right? And he has 12 decisions by win, whereas Hall has lost almost all of his losses by decision. So I'm seeing something here. I'm seeing Jotko being really good at containing a gas tank and putting enough output through the rounds to take it. So I thought that was really interesting. He has 1 decision lost in his last fight against David Branch, which that fight was just terrible. Branch just did his thing, anything he wanted on the ground. But he's been in the UFC since 2013. He's got wins over Scott Askham, Tamdan McCroy, Dalius Latis. He's got a mean overhand left, great left uppercut. But the one thing I saw in the fight against David Branch is Branch exploited his ability to be taken down over and over again. And I think that we don't have to worry about that in this fight. Hall is not known for shooting for takedowns or applying a great wrestling game. He's all about let's stand up. So if that's the case and I don't have to worry about Jotko going to the ground, I'm going to take the Muay Thai kicks and the top team support here. So I'm going Jotko too, and I think Jotko will win by decision.
That's what I got, Jotko by decision.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next one. We have got Anthony Hamilton versus Daniel Spitz in the heavyweight division. What you got?
We got Hamilton. These guys are huge. So Spitz is 5'1", 6'7", coming out of Sikh Jitsu, and Hamilton is 15-7, 6'5", 37 years old. And he's coming out of Jackson Wink MMA. So the big thing about this fight for me is, number one, they're giants, and number two, you got one fighter, Hamilton, who's going to come right at you and try to brawl. He drops his hands when he brawls. He swings with everything he's got, which is why he's come to have 8 KO wins. Whereas Spitz, if you watch, he needs a lot of priming. His first instinct is not to go right at you. It's to be on that back foot. If he wants to win this, he's going to have to use range. He's got good 1-2s. I like that about him. He likes to dirty box in the clinch, and the knees look really sharp from the clinch too. But my worry here is he came in and lost against Godbeer and survived for a decision loss. I just don't think Hamilton's going to let him survive like Godbeer did. And I could be wrong, considering Hamilton got dropped his last fight right against Marcel Fortuna. Mm-hmm. That was a nasty round 1 knockout. But you could say he was winning that fight until the knockout happened with how much pressure he was putting on Fortuna. I just don't see the knockout potential in Spitz. And if Spitz wants to win this, he's going to have to take it to the ground with a wrestler. So I'm going to go Hamilton. I'm going to go with the veteran here.
I am doing the same. Everything you said, I can't really say anything else. I'm not impressed with Spitz. Second fight in UFC. I watched his UFC debut against Godbeer. Like you said, lost by decision. But, dude, he faded in the second, taking some vicious body shots. Didn't show cardio. There wasn't any power behind his punches. You know, the guy's a former offensive lineman. And, you know, I just don't know. You know how linemen are. I don't know that they have it I don't know that their cardio is designed to go long like that without having a wrestling pedigree or something to keep that boy going. I don't know how he's going to fix the problem. Hamilton already, like you said, dude, he'll go. He's a warrior. I mean, Greg Jackson.
He has 6 decision wins too.
Dude, Greg Jackson, you know, trains warriors, and you know, the guy's got huge, heavy hands, throws huge bombs, dude, and he loads them up with combinations. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I mean, for everything that you said, I'm leaning on Hamilton. I'll have to look and see what I've got him. I've got Hamilton knockout round 2.
I got Hamilton knockout round 2 as well. Nice. I think if you're gonna wrap this fight up, I'm going to be very surprised if Spitz is able to do much against Hamilton. Being the smaller guy, yes, he is taller, but man, he just looks like he needs priming in a lot of his game. But for me, he's missing the killer instinct that Hamilton has. Hamilton wants your chin and is willing to give his chin up to get you. Spitz seems like he's worried about his chin, so he's always on the back foot looking out for you hitting him. So, well,
it's like you said too, though. Godbeer could have finished that, and he chose not to. Hamilton, I think, will be tenacious, and he will finish it.
Yeah. So, both go to Anthony Hamilton there. So, moving on to Oliver Aubin-Mercier versus Tony Martin. Who do you got?
Lightweight division. I am going with OAM, Oliver Aubin-Mercier. Mercier, winner of Tough Nations, fighting out of Montreal, trains at TriStar. He's got a black belt in judo, a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Dude's got vicious strikes, outstanding ground game. He's vicious if he takes you back, man. It's over. Last fight he finished Drew Dober in second round with rear naked choke. And then Goody before that. I think he outstruck Goody, who trains at Jackson Wink too, and he dominated him on the ground. So put all that together, it spells a great fight to come, because Martin's not just nobody. Dude trains in New England, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. In his last fight with Johnny Case, he ate a ton of jabs, but he countered well. He's hard to get timing on because on his counter, when his opponent is in and out, it's hard for you to get that timing on that counter, and he's real good at it. He exchanged just huge punches in the second round with Case, and it reminded me of like a Nick Diaz style of brawling. Third round just like the second, but a big takedown at the end to seal it for Martin. So, the guy's got fight IQ. He knows what he's doing. He knew what he needed to do to finish the fight. Great fight. Case got his face jacked up in that fight. A good one if you want to go see, some good blood and gore.
If you want to see a throwdown.
Yeah. He messed him up. So, with all that said, I'm going OAM, and I believe I have him round 2 submission.
Yeah, this is probably my hardest fight to call, I think, for the night. Just because they're polar opposite, I think. One, like if you watch Tony Martin versus Johnny Case, you'll see like the warrior mentality in Tony. Like the dude's not going to quit. And no matter how many times you hit him in his face, he's going to come forward. And that worries me against a guy like OAM, who depends on his leg kicks. He doesn't want to use his hands in fights because he knows all of his experience is getting you to the ground, taking your back, and taking care of you from there, which he's so good and consistent at. But the other thing I think we forget with OAM is he's 9-2. And he hasn't fought the top prospects. And I'll be honest, I don't think he's fought a guy with the type of power and heart that Tony Martin has. Martin probably won't tap if he gets submitted. He'll probably be the guy to be like blacked out asleep if he's going to be submitted. But the thing is, I saw I was going to originally go OAM just based off of what I knew. And then when I did film study, I realized how bad OAM is at boxing and standing in the pocket. Like, he would rather jump around the cage and try to find an angle to get to your back or in the clinch or to take you down, rather than standing. And when the only times I've seen him stand, I've seen him get dropped, but he immediately gets back up. True. I assure you, in this fight, if Tony drops Oliver, Tony's the type of guy that's not going to let you respond. Like, once he smells you're weak, he's the dog that's praying for it. So this was a real hard, tough fight for me. Especially considering Martin doesn't seem to check his leg kicks. He'll take the kicks to the leg, similar to what you said in Diaz fashion. He'd rather take the abuse to give the abuse.
Absolutely.
And that can win in this fight. That can help, because I don't think Oliver's fought a guy like that. I really don't. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Tony Martin, even though that TriStar camp and judo and wrestling of OAM, I think it can totally win him the fight here. I'm just betting on Tony has to know that by now. He has to look at the film and know that you go to the ground with this kid, you're probably not going to get up to the next round, or you're going to sleep. That's it.
All right. Well, we'll remember you said that. So we'll come to the next fight in the heavyweight division with Justin Ledet versus Zhu Anyanwu.
Did you study this fight at all?
A little bit. But, I know Ledet because he's a Texas boy. Fights out of Rocheron, Texas, south of Houston. Began training in 2008. He's got fast hands and for the heavyweight division. I watched his fight with Mark Goodbeer, and he took Goodbeer down early in round 1, took his back and submitted him with a rear naked choke. Just boom, boom. Against my boy Chase Sherman, the Vanilla Gorilla. That boy from Mississippi, that boy can throw down, and he's got a chin of granite. They traded huge hits for the whole first round. You need to go watch it.
Go watch that fight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's worth it. So, I was impressed. Anyanwu, he got 2 KOs in front of Dana White and got his contract by knocking out Greg Rubello in the second round. But besides the big overhand, I saw nothing overly impressive. Only chance he's got against Ledet is that lucky bomb. So Ledet, I'm going for him. I tell you right now, I've got Ledet knockout round 2.
I've got Ledet by knockout. I'm just not sure about the round yet because it's heavyweight, but I've got him by knockout. So I've got to take the Texan native and keep it here in the family. I really like Ledet for several reasons. I don't know if you know, but he was homeless, and the only thing he was doing at that time was sleeping outside the gym. And so the dude's dedicated. He's 8-0 for a reason. He's 28 years old, 6'4", by the way. What I really, really, really love about him is his boxing IQ. He was, I think, an amateur professional boxer before he even came into MMA. And the other thing that people don't realize about him is he's actually really good at wrestling too. So he's got the hands to take you out. And if you have hands in a heavyweight division and you have head movement, you better fucking watch out. Like, this kid is something serious. And to knock out Vanilla Gorilla in the fashion that he did it, that was insane too. So, but don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Let's not forget. I don't know how to pronounce his last. Anyanwu. He's 14-4. He's 36 years old, so he's 8 years older. He's 6'1", but he's a Hinzo Gracie Philly affiliated. So, don't go to the ground with this guy because he loves to grind. He likes submissions. He's orthodox. He's super experienced in grappling from every position. He's got power on both hands. And I don't know if you know this, but Wilson Hayes is his grappling instructor. So I thought that was an interesting note. But he's known for strength and slams. I think Anyanwu comes out and puts it on Ledet for the first round. And I'll be honest, I don't think he'll make it out of the second with Justin, because we've seen it. Ledet will go round after round after round after round after round. And not to mention, if you're versing a boxer, and I don't know if you saw this, but I sure as hell did, and Anyanwu depends on his power so much that he leaves his chin wide open when he swings. Like, if you duck the overhand right and move out of the way, there's a counter feint there that could just absolutely put the dude out. And I don't know why nobody's connected yet. So, and he's been knocked out. Those 4 losses, I think they're 3 or 2 knockouts. So the guy's he can be knocked out, and Ledet's going to do it.
So round 2, submission or knockout?
Knockout.
All right, cool. Next fight, Kamaru Usman versus Sergio Moraes, welterweight division. Let me just run down on this one. I'll let you take the next fight. Start it off. Usman, tough season 21 winner, 3-time NCAA All-American Wrestling champ. Blackzilians have mostly fallen apart now from what I understand, but he was with them for a long time. He's developed great striking, good jiu-jitsu. I watched the Leon Edwards fight because Leon is a really great precision striker, and I think the same of Moraes. He kept pressure on Edwards the whole fight. Got numerous takedowns, just ground out Edwards, and he won that fight by decision. This fight was supposed to happen back in 2016, but Usman was pulled from the card for undisclosed reasons. So this one, between him and Reyes, there's some blood there. They've been waiting to fight for a long time. They've both trained hard for each other. Usman's last 3 fights ended in unanimous decision, but last finish was in 2015 by submission, and 2014 for a knockout against Marcus Hicks, which went down actually here in Allen, Texas, right next door to us. And that was his last fight with Legacy FC before he went on Tough. Moraes, another competitor on Tough from Brazil from 2012. Dude missed all of 2014 from an injury. He's a 4-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, good, powerful striker, great Muay Thai. He defeated a Gracie, trains with Alliance Jiu-Jitsu in Brazil. He's had numerous scheduled fights get canceled for different reasons, but he's only lost his debut fight. I watched his last fight with Davey Ramos from last March, and kid's got amazing overhand right, utilizes a wide stance. He neutralized Ramos's ground game, defended a couple takedowns, fight stayed on its feet. I think that could be the key to the Usman fight. He beat Neil Magny by submission, but was hurt. I watched the Zach Otto fight, which went down this last November, and he took Zach down, displayed his ground game, and suffocated Otto from top position. Excuse me. He faded in round 3, but still managed to throw big punches. Hard finish by both, but Moraes took the decision. We're probably going to disagree here again on this fight. I'm going with Moraes simply because of that fight. I think if he does the same thing that he did in that fight, in the Usman fight, he stands a really good chance of winning. Most people I know are probably not going to see it that way. So go ahead.
No, I totally see what you're saying. This is another fantastic fight for all different types of reasons. Moraes 12-2, 6 foot. But here's the thing that gets me is he's 35 going on 36 years old. So I thought that was an interesting note. And because of that, I went and looked at his fight against, who was that? What was the last fight that you said? You just said it.
Zach Otto?
No, I don't think it was that fight. It was Ramos.
Oh, David Ramos last March?
Yeah. In that fight, I saw a different Panther. He usually is like really aggressive and throws heavy. And I'm not sure what the plan was. I think Ramos, maybe he knew that Ramos had more strength, or I don't know. He just didn't look like the same guy to me. And just because of that fight, I'm going to go Usman here. Just being younger, 10-1, 6 foot, 29 years old, training out of Black Zillions and Jayco Hybrid. His wrestlings, his takedowns. I love his jab. I love how he applies pressure the whole fight, which is how he's able to grind out decision wins. He's got 3 rounds in him. He's always forward momentum. I like how he throws elbows from top guard. He's done that in numerous fights, and you can score a ton of points with that or just straight put a man out. And let's not forget, the dude's built like a horse. So because of that, he's great at controlling rounds. But my most important thing with Usman that I wanted to make sure is that he can defend himself on the ground and get up. And because you have to worry about that with a 4-time jiu-jitsu champion in Moraes. But yeah, I'm gonna go Usman here just because I think Father Time's catching up to the Panther. I could be wrong. Like Moraes, when he wants to fight, I wouldn't bet against him if I was crazy. Like I really wouldn't, because the dude just looks phenomenal. If you go even just look at his highlight reel, he throws everything, like his arm snaps backwards and everything is just so crisp and so clean, but he just didn't look clean. He didn't look like the same fighter in his last fight. So that's really my whole thing here. Any one of these guys could take it at any moment.
All right.
So Usman by decision for me.
By decision. All right. And next fight, Gregor Gillespie versus Jason Gonzalez in the lightweight division. Go ahead.
I'll just say it right off the bat. I love Gillespie. I love what he's doing. I doubted him for his last 2 fights, and I like what the kid's bringing to the table. I like his speed. I like his footwork. I really like it, and that's why he's 9-0. He's fighting a guy, Jason Gonzalez, 11-3. Big guy, 6'2", coming out of Millennia MMA. Problem with this kid is he's been submitted twice. Or no, he's been submitted once and knocked out twice. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC, and I just think Gregor really kind of outclasses this kid. But he did have a really good, nice round 1 Bravo choke against JC Cottrell, in case y'all missed that.
So what do you got? What are you picking?
Oh, I've got Gregor Gillespie.
Gregor Gillespie?
By knockout.
All right, I got Gregor Gillespie round 2.
Round 2 knockout?
Knockout.
Got it.
I'm also predicting that is a possible fight of the night.
Yeah, I could see that.
We're running short of time. I'm going to jump into the next fight here. We got Hector Lombard versus Anthony Smith in the middleweight division. Go ahead.
I think that Lombard is on the back half on his career, maybe more than back half. Maybe like this could be your last fight. If you get knocked out again, you should probably hang the gloves up. Whereas Smith, he has more losses, yes, but he seems to be gaining more potential and constructing his potential into his mechanics. Like, he's come a long way. If you go look at his record, he's not lost very many fights, whereas Lombard was the opposite. He had lost his fights later in his career opposed to earlier, whereas Smith lost his earlier as opposed to later. So I just think this one comes down to timing again. Smith with being 6'4", with 13 KOs and 11 submission wins, and that huge head kick over Andrew Sanchez that nobody saw in April. And he put out Elvis Mutapik with a TKO elbow and punches. I mean, this dude's come so far, so I'm sick of doubting him. I'm going to go with the Lion on this one.
All right. Well, I am going with Hector Lombard. I'm sticking with it. I think there's some holes in Smith's game still. I got a feeling this one's going to go Lombard's way, and we'll see what happens. I rewatched that fight with Johnny Hendricks, and it went all 3. That was a 5-rounder, and he lost by decision. And I don't know, man. I think he may put Anthony on his ass, and I'm predicting him taking this from the back. I don't know. I just think he's going to see some vicious ground and pound and probably a submission there. And I have, let's see, Lombard by knockout in round 2.
Gotcha. I'll take Anthony Smith knockout round 2.
All right, cool. Yeah, we're going to have fun when we come back, aren't we?
Yeah, that's going to be a banger of a fight.
All right, last one we got 2 more here. We've got Mike Perry versus, well, it was supposed to be a Thiago Alves. Thiago Alves pulled from the card because of Hurricane Irma. I guess he needed to get down there and take care of family and property. So he pulled from the fight, and they replaced him with Alex Reyes. Welterweight division, go ahead.
Alex Reyes, the executioner, 5'11", 30 years old, fighting on a Pinnacle MMA. He's 12-2, and this is a really, really, really tough UFC debut for him. He's coming out of Cage Combat Academy. He's got 4 back-to-back submissions in KOTC. 2 arm triangle chokes and 2 rear naked chokes in a row. Those are back-to-back on both of those. So I thought that was cool. But he has fought nobody like Platinum Mike. I'm going to go Mike knockout, either 1 or 2. I'm going to stick to 1. I actually kind of feel sorry for Reyes here. Don't get me wrong. If it goes to the ground, I think Reyes has a chance, probably a good chance. But good luck taking the abuse that's coming your way. What are your thoughts?
I feel the same way. There's not a whole lot to add there. We could have talked a little bit more if it was Thiago Alves, but it's not. Yeah. Perry's last fight with Jake Ellenberger, dude, he destroyed Jake, and we're talking a bloody TKO. Once again, you want to see a little blood and gore, go watch that fight.
It's knockout of the year, elbow.
Yeah, it was nasty. So I'm just kind of looking for more of the same. I've got Perry knockout round 2.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm going round 1 knockout. You're going round 2.
All right, that brings us to our main event of the evening: Luke Rockhold versus David Branch, middleweight division. Go ahead.
I'm going to go Rockhold. I think Branch's only chance is on the ground, and we've seen Rockhold off of his back. And yeah, I mean, do you think Branch can do this?
I do.
I know you like Branch.
I do. I like Branch. I think he brings a lot to the table. I mean, the dude's got so many fights. He's a total vet. 21-3. He's ranked number 9. He's a Renzo Gracie black belt jiu-jitsu artist. He's got huge punching power. A really high fighting IQ. The dude's been fighting since 2007. Like I said, huge vet. He's been in all major fight promotions. World Series of Fighting, Bellator, Titan. I saw that Titan fight with Rumble Johnson, and he lost that by decision. And like I mentioned earlier, I was at UFC 211 where he last fought Jotko, and he won that by decision. It was lazy in the end. So
he ground that out by decision.
Yeah.
And you're not going to you have 5 rounds to go at Rockhold. That's my thing.
Exactly.
He's not going to give you the time of day. And, this isn't the count. This isn't mind games being played and the pressures against Rockhold. There's no pressure against him right now.
Well, Branch being the Gracie BBJ artist. So what I did was I went back and I watched Rockhold's fight against Lyoto Machida. Dude, Rockhold showed superior octagon experience in that fight. There was nothing. It was almost a flawless display of everything that guy brings to the mat. If that guy shows up, he's gonna win hands down. He normally trains at AKA American Kickboxing Academy, with Cain Velasquez and DC. This time he's trained out of Hard Knocks 365 out of Florida. He's training with the likes of Steven Struve and just some real heavy hitters. He's mixing it up, and he says he's evolving his game. Look, I'm just gonna say this: I got Rockhold all night long. There was no question from the get-go. I'm a firm believer in Rockhold. I'm taking him for a TKO knockout in round 2.
I got TKO Rockhold round 2. And that is no disrespect against David Branch at all. There's a reason why he got, I think the reason why he got this fight is to show Rockhold can still do his thing in there, which he should be able to prove on this. I feel comfortable saying that. But who knows? If it goes according to last week, then we don't know shit. But yeah, man, I think for me, if your number one game plan is to put Rockhold on his back and hope to grind it out there, that seems far too one-dimensional for me. There's nothing in Branch's arsenal standing up that makes me think he can stand with Rockhold for even a minute. Rockhold brings everything. He's good at everything. If he's not great at it, he's at least good at it. So there's just not a whole lot of holes in this guy's game, whereas when you watch Branch standing up, you can tell where the clear holes and the advantage for Rockhold is.
Well, there you have it. I'm just going to, like I said, we ran out of time. We've pushed a lot of our discussion, had a lot to say tonight. I think we're going to have an awesome fight. We're going to have a great show when we come back because I assure you there's going to be some killer fights to talk about. When we do come back, we will be prepping you for, let's see, I guess that would be UFC Fight Night on Friday, September 22nd with Shogun Huga versus OSP. I'm
excited to see Shogun back in this mix.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool one, man. That's going down in Japan. And we'll be coming back, giving you our fight picks there. And hopefully we'll have a much better week this week than we did last week because that was pretty gut-wrenching, man, to go from 11 out of 12 to 3 out of 11.
Yeah. And if anyone did well or made some good calls and can prove it, please show us, because I just haven't talked to anybody that had a clear read on that card. I mean, just so much underdogs taking advantage of huge odds. It was just insane.
Oh, and I want to throw one bet card out there. Just, you know how I am. I always got that fantasy bet. This one is Hector Lombard, Gilbert Burns, Krzysztof Jotko, Anthony Hamilton, OAM, Sergio Moraes, just by chance, and Mike Perry. $5 will win you $505.
Very nice. I think 2 names I'm going to put in a lot of my parlays. is Justin Ledet, or 3 names, I'm sorry. Justin Ledet, Gregor Gillespie, and 4. I'm going to make it 4. Mike Platinum Perry and Rockhold. I think those 4 guys are going to pull it out and really do it big on Saturday night.
Sweet. Well, let's go make some money, man, and come back here and talk about it.
Sounds good. All of you that are watching, if you haven't subscribed, please give us a subscribe. We'll go ahead and return the favor. Thanks for joining us on SDP on MMA. We'll go ahead and see you next week.
Right on. Have a good week, y'all. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.